Mary stood at the foot of the cross until the very end. She had watched them drive the nails into the hands and feet of the child she once held to her breast in Bethlehem. Every hammer blow must have struck her own soul. The soldiers, the mocking crowd, the darkness that fell over the land at noon, none of it drove her away. John, the beloved disciple, stayed close to her, but the other apostles had scattered in fear. Only a few women and this young man remained with her in the most terrible hour of her life. When Jesus finally cried out, "It is finished," and gave up his spirit, something in Mary broke that could never be mended in this world. The Gospels do not record her words in that moment. They are almost reverently silent about her private grief. But every mother who has lost a child knows the shape of that pain. This was not just any son. This was the child announced by an angel, the boy she had pondered about in her heart for 33 years, the man she believed was the Messiah, the promised one. Now he hung dead, bloodied and disfigured. After the soldiers confirmed he was dead by piercing his side, Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus received permission to take the body. Mary watched as they lowered her son from the cross. Tradition and Christian art have long imagined this moment as the Pietà, the mother holding her broken son in her arms. What did she feel as she cradled his lifeless body? A mother's raw agony. The child she had nursed, taught to walk, stayed up with through fevers, and watched grow into a man of incomparable compassion, was now cold. His face, once beautiful, was swollen and covered in blood and dirt. She may have gently wiped his face with her veil, as pious tradition tells us. Crushing loneliness. Her husband Joseph had likely already died years earlier. Her other children, Jesus' brothers in the Jewish sense, likely cousins or step-siblings, were not there. Only John and a few faithful women stood with her. A sword through her soul. Simeon had prophesied it decades earlier in the temple. A sword will pierce your own soul too. At Calvary, that prophecy was fulfilled completely. Yet even in her grief, Mary did not despair in the way others might. Her faith, tested beyond what any human should have to endure, remained anchored in God. She who had once said, "Behold the handmaid of the Lord, be it done to me according to your word," did not now curse God or lose all hope. They wrapped Jesus' body in linen with spices and laid him in Joseph's new tomb. Mary watched as the stone rolled across the entrance. That sound must have been one of the heaviest things she ever heard, the finality of it. The following day was the Sabbath. Jewish law forbade her from going to the tomb to mourn openly. She was left to sit with her grief in silence, probably in the home of John, who had taken her into his care exactly as Jesus had commanded from the cross. "Woman, behold your son. Behold your mother." Her heart was likely torn between two truths. One, the unbearable pain of a mother who has outlived her child. Two, the stubborn, quiet belief that God would not abandon them forever. When the women returned from the tomb on Sunday morning with news that the stone was rolled away and the body was gone, Mary's sorrow began its slow transformation into something else, astonished joy. The Gospels do not explicitly say Mary was the first to see the risen Jesus, but many Christian traditions and saints have believed she was granted a private appearance. It would only be fitting. The first person to hold him at his birth would be among the first to see him after his resurrection. When she saw her son alive again, still bearing the wounds, but radiant with new life, the sword was finally lifted from her heart. The grief did not disappear, but it was transfigured. She understood now what it had all been for. In Catholic and Orthodox devotion, Mary is called Our Lady of Sorrows. Her 7 sorrows include the death of Jesus and the piercing of her heart as she held his body. She is seen not as a distant figure, but as a mother who truly understands the pain of loss. She became the mother of all grieving hearts. Because she endured the worst pain a mother can know, she can stand beside anyone who has lost a child or lost their greatest hope. She knows. The story of Mary after the death of her son is ultimately one of the deepest human grief held inside the greatest divine promise, that death does not get the final word. Love does. And that love, the same love that raised her son, continues to hold her and every broken heart still. If this story moved you, subscribe to Timeless Tales of Faith and share this message.